Hey, it's Christmas! Let's make mayonnaise. So last year, I had a barbecue and I had a lot of burgers and sausages and stuff, and I made mayonnaise for everyone. And actually, the mayonnaise was a huge, huge hit, and I got asked a lot, where'd you get this from? And the truth of the matter is, I make my own mayonnaise. And as much as I've heard a lot of people say mayonnaise making is really intensive, it's actually not that hard. And I'm gonna show you 3 ways that you can actually make homemade mayonnaise. But before I dive into it, let's talk about what mayonnaise actually is. So mayonnaise is like the coolest scientific thing you could possibly eat. It's so cool. Mayonnaise is basically a mixture of oil and water. Now I know what you're saying, Steve. Oil and water, way back when, like you'd make in kindergarten, you'd like mix oil and water and notice that they don't mix together and be like, oh, science. But mayonnaise is actually that, and it actually stays stable because it has a very special chemical in it called an emulsifier. So an emulsifier is something that actually takes something like a fat and something like a water, and it has both ends kind of attracted to both. A good example of those are phospholipids, which have a fatty end and like a water-soluble end. And what they do is they basically trap molecules or giant blobs of water or oil, and they just kind of keep them, we call it kinetically stable. So they kind of move around, but never actually break apart and separate out. It like defies all logic. It's so cool. So in order to make mayonnaise stable, we need an emulsifier. And there's a lot of emulsifiers out in nature. Soap is a good example. You know that you can use soap to wash grease off your hands and then use water to wash away. But soap tastes like crap. So let's use one that tastes way better. And one of them is called lecithin, which is abundant in eggs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with eggs. So I'm going to use 2 eggs. And the reason I'm going to use 2 eggs is because the amount of lecithin that's in these eggs, even though it's really, really high, starts to degrade exponentially as they get older. And because I don't buy fresh eggs, I buy store-bought eggs, they are pretty old. Their lecithin content is not as high as I'd want it to be. So I'm going to use 2. Most mayonnaise recipes call for just 1. So eggs are my emulsifier. My kind of watery liquid is going to be cider vinegar and white wine vinegar. And my fat is going to be safflower oil. You could use olive oil or something like that, but I find the taste just to be a little bit too strong. I don't really like it. Safflower oil is like nice and neutral. For all those people out there that talk about, omega-3s and omega-6s, it's not the best. It's actually one of the worst. But I mean, as long as you're not, doing shots of mayonnaise, I think you're okay. And the last thing I'm going to put in there, I'm going to use some mustard. Ground mustard also has a pretty high lecithin content, so it's just going to boost up the emulsifying power of my mayonnaise. So whenever you're making mayonnaise, you're always going to use the same ingredients: eggs, oil, water or vinegar, mustard. Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's easy. So I told you I'd make you mayonnaise 3 ways. First way, by hand. I hate this method. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first separate the yolks on my eggs. All right, to my eggs, I'm going to add my vinegar. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of cider vinegar because I think it has a really nice taste, and 2 tablespoons of white wine vinegar because I think it has a nice taste. Next, I'm going to prep how much oil I need. And for this recipe, I'm going to use about 3/4 of a cup of oil. And for most mayonnaise recipes, you'll find that they ask for a little bit of salt. And the reason for that is because the salt acts as an abrasive, which will help me emulsify this to start with. So before I even add any of the oil, the first thing I need to do is whisk the crap out of this. I almost forgot the mustard. Okay, so I've whisked it a lot. It's kind of frothy and it's light in color. That tells me that it's already an emulsion. The little bit of fat that's in the egg has already emulsified with the liquid that's already in here. Emulsion, good to go. What I need to do now is I need to really slowly add this oil into this mixture. And I'm gonna do it drop by drop. each time I add a drop, I'm gonna keep whisking it really, really fast so that the oil droplet kind of breaks up so that it can be emulsified properly. As I keep going and keep doing this, I can actually add the oil faster and faster and faster until all the oil gets added, and you're gonna have a stable emulsion. So I actually need 2 hands for this, so I'm not gonna talk while I do this because it takes a lot of concentration, and it's gonna make me really tired because doing this by hand sucks. It. Like, oh, it takes so much work to do this, and my arm is so tired, and this is terrible. I have never made mayonnaise successfully this way. I don't know how people can do it. This is not for me. So let's do a different method. Since I don't want to be whisking because my hand gets too tired, I want to use a stand mixer because that's way better. Okay. Same idea as before. Egg yolks, vinegar, mustard, and in this case, I'm gonna add a little bit of water just because this thing mixes way faster than anyone's hand can, and I need a little bit of moisture in there to make sure that, you know, everything stays okay. This time, no salt. Salt I needed as an abrasive when I was mixing it by hand, but this one moves so fast, I don't need it. This time for the oil, I'm not going to add it in slowly. Instead, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pour it right into the cup. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the property that oil is less dense than water and vinegar. So it's going to raise right up to the top. So now I actually have 2 layers like this. And I'm going to use the stand mixer to actually create a vortex that puts the oil droplets into the emulsion. It's so cool. It's like science fiction. And that's it. That's mayonnaise. Like, so good. It's done. Awesome. Hand mixing, don't do it. It's stupid. Third way of doing this. Again, not by hand. So this guy right here, he's like my favorite toy. It's so cool. You haven't seen one of these before. It's a stand mixer. This one's really nice because instead of using really high-powered whisking like my hand blender did, I'm going to do it pretty slowly, but it's going to move at the same pace my hand would, except I don't have to do anything. Either way, ingredients are the same. This time, because it's not high-powered, a little bit of salt to help, be an abrasive. Lock that in, and I'm just going to start beating these until it starts getting frothy and light like it did last time. So I know you can't really hear me because it's really, really loud. But take a look over here, and that's what it should look like. Now I'm going to start adding in oil. And just like last time, 1 drop at a time. Once you start to see it kind of thicken up, you can go ahead and start adding more oil a little bit faster, like a really thin stream. Here's what it looks like. So what, that took maybe 5 minutes or so, and I get mayonnaise, and it tastes so good. In all honesty, I find that this mayonnaise made with the handstand mixer makes the best mayonnaise that I can ever make. I think it's a little bit better than the stick blender. I know I made it look really easy here, but a lot of times when I make mayonnaise, I can't do it. It breaks apart. It can't be done. And it sucks. It feels really crappy because you waste eggs and oil. But if you do end up getting, crappy mayonnaise like this, all hope is not lost. You can actually salvage this stuff, as weird as it sounds. If you treat this like the oil mixture and then just create an emulsion again using 2 egg yolks, a little bit of vinegar, make sure it's emulsified first, and then start adding it drop by drop, you can actually take this mayonnaise and just make mayonnaise again. It's just the same chemical reaction, second time. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey Steve, you can make mayonnaise now, but mayonnaise is boring. Okay, yeah, I mean, everyone has eaten mayonnaise before, and some people don't really like it because it tastes weird. So how do you make it more pizzazzy? Well, you can actually use different oils. I used a neutral tasting oil because that's what mayonnaise is usually made out of. But if you use olive oil, you'll actually get something closer to an aioli. However, if you're going to do this, make sure you don't use the stick blender, because that one's actually going to take the fruit bubbles, the molecules that make fruit taste good, and it'll crush them really, really violently, and it'll make them taste bitter. So if you're going to put in olive oil, make sure you do it by hand, or you use your stand mixer. So now what I've done here is I've actually added a little bit of olive tasting goodness to my mayonnaise, so it's not so boring. You could do this with sesame seed oil if you felt crazy, or you could use grapeseed oil, which I think also has a really nice taste, but it's kind of subtle. If you wanted to go really nuts, you could use like a clarified coconut oil, and that would taste super funky. I don't even know. But yeah, that's a lot of things you can do with this mayonnaise. And last thing about mayonnaise that I want to talk about, because it comes up every single time, there's raw eggs in here. Like this right here. Raw eggs. Oh. Honestly, unless you're really, really old and have a compromised immune system, or you're pregnant, not a big deal. I would just eat raw eggs. It's not that big of a deal. It only becomes a big deal when you make like a huge batch of this stuff. So in all honesty, don't worry about it. In fact, if you were to measure the pH of this, you would find it has a pH of like 2 to 3, which is like stomach acid. So this stuff right here is actually pretty sterile. You want to see the math? Check out my link over here, where I actually go and do all this stupid chemistry math. This stuff right here, I would probably put in a jar, keep in my fridge, lasts about 2 to 3 weeks. But it never actually lasts that long, because I'll take this stuff and I'll mix it with some like chopped leftover chicken breasts and make myself a really awesome chicken salad. I will mix it with chopped up hard-boiled eggs, make myself an egg salad, throw in some onions, some celery in there. It's really, really good. I take this stuff and I put it on my sweet potato fries, which is something I learned from people from Buffalo, so thank you. That's actually really tasty. I'll slather on burgers, put it on sausages. Hell, sometimes I'll just take carrot sticks and just dip them in and just eat it like that, because it tastes really, really good. If you really wanted to, you could also take ketchup, mix it with it, and add chopped up pickles, and you would actually make Thousand Island dressing. Or if you took this stuff and you mixed it with relish or chopped pickles and a little bit of dill, you would make yourself tartar sauce. So this stuff I think is awesome. I mean, keep this stuff around all the time and just eat more of it. It's really, really good. Anyways, that's it. This video is running so long. Thanks so much for watching. Links and stuff in the description. Nutritional information is going to be coming in from the side. Whoa! You know, watch out for that. Also, it's here. I promise I'm going to put my links and like my recipes and stuff all written down somewhere. I haven't decided where yet, but it'll save you from having to watch a stupid 20-minute video and just watch me ramble on about stuff that you don't really care about. But that's it. I'm going to let you go. I will catch you next time. Bye.